Guys, this is Richard Ogachi. Thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel. And I'm here tonight or today to talk about something in a minute or two. And this is about when you are thinking that it's about the other person almost all the time. When you hear that people have been involved in a traffic or accident, what is your reaction? What usually happens? What do you think? When you hear that your neighbor or your friends are divorcing, they're separating, what do you do? What usually happens? When you hear that one of your friends, maybe they've lost their house because they were not able to pay the bills or they are not able to pay the mortgage, what do you think usually? Oh, when you hear that your friends have been deported, for example. Now we are having a lot of ICE issues in the US, and there's a lot of deportation, there's a lot of immigration challenges right now. When you hear about something like that happened to somebody you know or someone you don't know, especially people you don't know, what do you think? What is your reaction usually? When you hear that, for example, that Alex guy who was killed in Minnesota by ICE, and the lady who was shot by ICE people, what do you usually think? What is usually your reaction? I think, what do you think? What usually comes into your mind when something like that happens? What usually do you think? What is your opinion usually? How is your program? What do you do? Because you see, when you hear that a plane has crashed and all lives were lost, what is your first reaction? What do you do? What is your first reaction? What do you do? How do you go about it? How do you process that information? How do you process that information? How do you get to process that kind of information? What do you do usually? What is your reaction? When you hear that your friend who you've known for years maybe has been apprehended, he's been taken to court, he's going to jail, what usually happens? What do you think? What is your mindset around that? When you hear that your sister or your cousin or your distant neighbor, kids have died or something has happened to them, what is your reaction? What's your mindset? How do you process that information? Because why I ask that question is, what I have seen working in healthcare as a registered nurse is, when it's somebody else, is statistics. When it's somebody else, when it's somebody you don't know or you don't care about, it's a statistic. When you are not involved, when you are not close to those people, when there are people you don't know, like for example, when you're driving on the road, you see somebody has been hit by a vehicle, they're fighting for their life. Most people usually drive away and they just leave. They don't want to help. But of course, we have people who show up and they want to help. But again, what's the mindset? What do you usually think? What runs into your head? What runs in your mind? What do you think? So as I've said, when it's somebody else, it's a statistic. We say, like, you see people giving press conferences and they're giving this data. Like, last year we had 50 deaths. We are down from 100 the previous year. And now I think we're making progress. We want to make sure that at least this year we get maybe 10 or 20. At least we reduce that number. Do you know those numbers we are talking about are people's children? Do you know they are people's parents? Do you know they are people's brothers? Do you know they are people's neighbors? Do you know they are people's sons and daughters? Do you know they are people's sisters? Do you know they are people's wives and husbands? When it's somebody else, come on, guys, when it's somebody else, it's a statistic. But when it's you, it's 100%. When it's you, it's 100%, guys. When it's you, it's inside. Because you are affected directly. Because you are hurt. Because, it changes your life. Your life will never be the same, Your life will never be the same. When it's somebody else, it's just number. But when it's you, when you are directly involved, it's 100%. Guys, thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. And thank you for give comments, guys. Come on, give comments and let me know your feedback. Let me know feedback, guys. If this